I bring all these folks up here on stage today because we couldn't do this as a community without everyone who's standing up here today. I got with me on stage U.S. Attorney Jerome Gorgon, Acting Special Agent in charge of the FBI Ruben Gleeman, Special Agent in charge of the ATF James Deere, Grand Blanc Township Supervisor Scott Bennett, Grand Blanc Township Fire Chief Gent, Genesee County Sheriff's Department Sheriff Chris Swanson, and MSP Michigan State Police Captain Greg Marenko. I'm going to provide an update from the incident that we spoke about earlier today that occurred at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints at 10:25 a.m. I want to talk about our officer's response. That call came out at 10:25 a.m. and 32 seconds. We had officers on scene at 10:25 and 57 seconds. The suspect, again, we're in the preliminary stages right now, was neutralized at 10:33:44 in the parking lot of that church. That suspect is a 40-year-old male from the city of Burton, who we identified as Thomas Jacob Sanford. That's Thomas Jacob Sanford, S-A-N-F-O-R-D. Currently where we're at, an update, I gave you 10 victims who were victims of gunshot. Since then, we have 2 victims who are now deceased. One additional one had died at a local hospital. And again, that suspect is deceased as well. 7 other victims at this time are in stable condition. 1 is in critical condition. Now, for the reunification, I had a question earlier about, hey, where can people call to see if their loved one is okay at the reunification center? I want to provide a number for you for that. It's 248-705-7352. Also, I know that our community is hurting right now, and we want to provide some resources for our community moving forward. At the Genesis Athletic Club in Grand Blanc for Monday and Tuesday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., we will have services for the community. From Wednesday to Friday, those services will be available to our community at the Grand Blanc Senior Center. That's all I have for now. I will give you another update, another press conference at 8 p.m. Thank you.
All right, that was Chief William Rennie of the Grand Blanc Police Department updating us on the information about this shooting that took place in Grand Blanc, Michigan. He said the call came out around 10:25 a.m. and officers were on scene there at the shooting the same minute. He said the suspect, who's now identified as 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, was neutralized at 10:33 in the parking lot of that church. That's just 8 minutes after the call was made, as well as 8 minutes after we're told officers were on scene. He went over again the people who were injured. We know that there were 10 victims of gunshots, 2 victims who are now deceased. The second died later at an area hospital once that person was transported there. And we also know that the suspect was killed after a shootout with police officers. Again, 7 others are in stable condition. 1 victim is still in critical condition. And we're being told that several resources for communities are being set up all around the area in Grand Blanc right now, Michigan. I want to bring back in our Olivia Rubin here, who is our investigative reporter. Olivia, can you just talk to me now, basically, the information that we were just given from Chief Rennie over there? What's the latest in terms of the information that we're given right now in this investigation?
Well, very critically, he just identified the suspect, right? Thomas Jacob Sanford was the name given. We know that that's a 40-year-old, they said, from an area nearby to where this occurred. Male, of course, now deceased. And what you can bet right now, Ike, is that there is a furious investigation into this individual right now among officers. You can probably assume they are already at this individual's home. They might be at the home of his parents, perhaps his friends, family, coworker, classmates, boss, anyone, calling them, trying to figure out exactly what would have motivated this individual, if accurate, to go to this church and commit this horrific act of violence. Did he have any sort of connection to the church? Did he have any sort of connection to anyone who attended this church? Was it completely random? Also, what happened to this individual to drive them to this place? What was going on in their own life? When I speak to experts, a lot of times what happens to these individuals is they are sort of radicalized and put down this violent path somehow online, on the internet. Was that the case here? Was, he totally on his own? Were there others involved? There are an endless amount of questions. I could sit here for 10 minutes with you and ask different questions that investigators are likely working through right now. I think most key there, of course, is the motive. Was there, again, why this church? And so that's definitely top of mind for investigators right now. I would also point out there was no update there on anyone from inside of the church. Remember, what we heard at 1 o'clock when, or whatever the time was, it's been a long day, when officials first briefed, was that they expected to have more victims because of the fire at the church, right? We didn't hear that mentioned just now. Does that mean that they didn't find anyone else? Are they still working on that scene because it took them quite a bit of time to get the fire out? We know from sources there was a partial collapse at the building. So again, you heard them talking about family members, reunification. That's top of mind for the community right now. Was there anyone still left in the building? Were they able to get anyone out? Were they able to get everyone out? And how many people might still be in there, if anyone?
All right, so many questions still left to be answered, Olivia Rubin. I want to turn now to Robert Boyce. Robert, what are the next steps in an investigation like this?
I think it's going to be a deep dive of Mr. Sanford, and that's where they're going right now. And remember, you have the FBI, the ATF there as well as state service as well. So all those databases being put into play. They got to run that rifle, Ike, and see where it came from, how long he got it, how long he owned it, and was he proficient in it? Because these things all matter when you pull these things up. People want to know, even though it's a closed-end investigation as far as him. He's dead. But we don't know if there's anybody else who knew about this. So they'll go through his devices, his phone, his computer, any written notes, family and friends. All these things to paint a picture of this individual to see where this came from. Because it came out of the blue, as unfortunately others do. They come out of the blue. But now you're going forward exactly what the lady said before, is that we don't know if they've recovered anybody else from inside. And the ages of the victims. One woman earlier said that there was children in there. We don't know that yet. So I was hoping the chief would take some questions exactly on that, because by now they usually have a list of those injured people. And also, I understand not naming the people who are deceased, but the injured people, exactly the ages. That's what you're looking for in these things.